Good day, lords and ladies, and welcome to Red Tether with me, Cornish-Knight, as we have a first look at this game, developed and published by Sleeper Games. It is an action roguelike, a physics-based action roguelike. So far, I've played like half an hour or so to get a good first impression of it. So let's just have a look at the settings first off. Not too bad. You can fix several things. I will say for those who are photosensitive, like flashing lights, anything like that, this game, or just have issues with color blindness, there's a lot of flashing lights, and the color contrast for those who may have issues can be quite glaring. Even in this game gives me eye strain after a while. So just be aware of this as you go into this game. So controls, not too bad. Like the game setup, you can rematch your controls, not too bad. One thing I will say I don't like is the resolution. I normally run at 1360. There's no way to get that on this. It's only 1366, which I'm not a fan of. And it has this. It says auto. They have like an auto system, but the auto system doesn't seem to be working for me. And it doesn't also go in automatically into full screen. Also, these settings reset once you leave the game, I've experienced, so that's not great in my personal opinion. You can change the audio and sounds of very basic audio options. I would suggest you turn those sounds down, as they can be quite loud. This is the sound you're currently hearing on is 20%, and this is me after basically muting it in recording, so it's still pretty loud even when I'm recording it now. But let's get into the game, shall we? The way the game basically works, as you can guess by the title Red Tether, is that it is a physics-based game. Gives me a very strong sort of Asteroid, the old pixel game, combined with say the physics from say Half-Life, where the whole point of that game is that you use the physics in your environment to defeat your enemies, and this is relatively the same. You're tethering things to other things and crashing them into things. So, example here, we could tether ourselves to this, get some movement going on this block, and then rip it off. And you can see it drags in. So we could also do something like that and drag the two together. You can also play around with the physics. For example, we could say do something like that, increase the speed so they crash together and do more damage. And this is the general principle of the game. They go into some more sort of fancy techniques. So, for example, you can anchor yourself, slash through and do a slash attack. Or we could say anchor ourselves and then wheel around the vessel in question as a way of like avoiding being shot at, since there is not like you have a standard relative speed in this game. This is just the basic introductions. I won't go through it because it takes time. Yes, but this is how the game basically plays. It's all physics based, so trying to explain while playing a physics game is never the easiest thing for me. You can rip bits off ships. This is the general tactic, which is that you either rip bits off ships and then slam them into other ships. You can connect vessels to other vessels and crash them into each other. And this is the general strategy of the game, and I'll show it off in more depth. You can also, for example, we could do that. I was actually trying to build up momentum and then drag that into that, so it does a nice impact and does more damage. You don't really have a health. You have a couple of health bars up here, and you have a shield that will pop up when you get damaged, but I'll cover that when we get into the actual combat. This is a fairly straightforward game once you get the hang of it. It's a wave-based game, so more and more complex enemies will turn up until you die. There are some things to unlock, different kinds of ship, with different objectives. There's not a ton, and there's obviously the initial item database. So, as it stands right now, I feel it's a bit like fit on the ground for an action roguelike. There's not a ton of things, but let's get into the first game. Unknown intel, unlock cover black box. Okay. Unknown intel and unlock cover black box. Entry free. So, unknown, probably lore entry information lying about. Here we go. Entry 1 of 1. Sleeper games designed. There you go. And this is basically it's a little bit of information. How interesting. From what I can tell of the game itself, the main story is that we're just trying to save the area we're in. So here we go. This is one of the things I do dislike about this game. You don't have a reverse, which is unrealistic because there being, well, no resistance in space. It actually should be, you can stop. See here, you can stop like that, but you can't go backwards. Which is something I always found really strange because you can actually go backwards in space. It's a 3D space of a 3D area of movement. But yes, so the general purpose of the game is that you're trying to smash up the invading enemy fleet until the boss ship turns up. So I find this game very hard to like narrate and play at the same time, especially since it doesn't particularly work well with my recording software. But I just show you how to do it for. So let's grab this piece of ship. I don't want to smash it into us. This is the thing I hate, which is that it doesn't handle the way that you expect. It's a little bit tricky to sort of get grasp of how, say for example, you want to drag things through, and I didn't want that to happen. I wanted to fly past and drag it. But here we go, the first wave. And this is the general gameplay. You have enemies that turn up and you have to blow them up. So easy pickings, so we can do stuff like that. Crash them into each other. Or we could say this is the thing. I'm not a massive fan of physics games. Come on, come on. But this is basically this is the general theme that you have. You crash things into other things to try and get the enemy's attention. And once you've done enough damage, the next wave of enemies turns up. Yeah, and they're going to shoot at us. Now you can see here, one of the ways we could avoid being shot. The shield bar basically protects your health. Once your shield bar goes, your health bar goes. Now, for example, we could slingshot ourselves around. It doesn't really work that well in my experience. So it's just, this game is so hard to try and narrate and play at the same time. But you see the general context of this game, which is that you're trying to basically build up momentum with the thing that you're dragging, while at the same time locking it on to other objects so that they are dragged into it and destroy each other in collisions. I think it does it okay. You can also you can drag things off ships depending on their mass. So, like, the bigger the thing that you're dragging them into, the more mass you can drag off. So, for example, like smaller components can be pulled off by bigger components, like that, as you can see. The next wave should be turning up soon. Here we go. And this is how it works. You basically keep on fighting waves until they either kill you or you get to the end of the game. Ouch. Yeah, it's, as you can see, it's not a bad game. It's a very relatively straightforward game. I think it has a lot of premise, but at the same time, there are things I do dislike about it. The fact that you have no reverse means that you're constantly having to be in forward motion. There's no booster or anything on your ship, so you have to basically slingshot yourself with the grapple. For example, if we wanted to get past the ship that's up here, and we wanted to do it quickly, we'd have to say, we'd have to basically grab onto it and do something like that, and basically slingshot ourselves past it. I don't mind that because I know that they're trying to reinforce their aesthetic that they have, but at the same time, it just makes it. I'm not a fan of basically not having reverse thrust on a spaceship. Overall, graphics aren't too bad. Very nice pixel art. A lot of quite flashing lights, I've said. There's not a lot I can say about this game. It is a very straightforward, what you see is what you get so far in my play. I've got up to like wave 8 or 9. So it is, and the style of the game has relatively stayed the same. I don't know. The only thing I will say is that sometimes waiting for the next enemies to turn up, what do I need to do? Do I need to destroy all the flotsam and jetsam, in the area? Because you sometimes sit around waiting. There's no clear objective in this game. There's just basically once you kill all the enemies, the next wave turns up, as you can see. But the game never tells you these things. So one other thing I will say is that the acquisition to targets is a bit frustrating because it has some objects have really big hitboxes, while some objects have absolutely tiny hitboxes. And for example, like here, you could think, oh, you can just hover over any bit of the ship. It's like, no. If you want to get the gun off, you have to basically be in the center of mass of that gun. Alright, is that blown off yet? Come on. Come on. But as you can see, it's not a bad game. I think it shows a lot of promise. I like the old school sort of pixel art of it. At the same time, I wish there were things they had done differently, like giving yourself like a booster so you could outpace rather than having to slingshot constantly. Because see here, look, we just tethered that to an object, but it's just gone straight through for some reason. So there are slight inconsistencies. Come on. Let's tether this around. Nope, didn't want to hit that, but we'll just have to blow up the cargo ship anyway. I love the concept. There is some more like refinement I would say that they could have done for this title, just to give it a bit more sort of flexibility. But overall, it's not a bad little game. Considering I don't know how many people have worked on it, but I do like the concept of it. Right, let's just grab that piece of ship. I'm going to drag it around here. Take a bit of damage in the process. We need to get our shields back up. Yeah, I know we're getting shot at. Take them out. This game gets a lot more hectic on the higher settings, I have found. The more hectic it becomes, some of the more of the flaws, I would say, pop up. As you can see, I have said I'm not a fan of not having reversed thrust. You can stop yourself in space, but you can't go backwards. Yeah, there you go. I know it's supposed to add a nice hectic nature to the gameplay, but I'm not a fan of it. I like having the ability to go backwards in a game where you're supposed to be flying around in space. Come on. Break loose, please. There we go. Come on. Come on. I mean, what I could do is I could probably say tether that to that. Let it grow, get taut, and then they rip each of us bits off. There you go. I mean, there is strategy in this game, don't get me wrong. I just wish that you had a better control of your vessel. I know it's supposed to be a physics-based game, but I don't know. There we go. Overall, my general feeling about this game is that it's a very nice little indie title. I wouldn't say it would be attractive for everyone to play. Some of the sort of quality of life features are missing. The sort of quite harsh, bright colour scheme is nice, but after a while it is rather taxing on the eyes. And here we go, our first big sort of boss fight. And as you can see, they really don't mess around. And we just took a nasty hit and our shield are almost out, so we need to let our shields come back online. Come on, stop shooting me, please. Another ship popped in, just fantastic. And you can see what I meant by the hitboxes. Some things have nice big hitboxes, well, say for example, this missile has a tiny one, and yes, normally that's not an issue, but in a game where you can't boost or accelerate past this, besides doing the grab effect, it can become very nasty very quickly. As you can see, I'm taking a lot of damage now. Also, because you can't zoom in and out on the screen, and the enemies have much longer line of sight than you do, it's really easy, for example, because of the XY axis. For example, I can fly up from below the ship, not realise I've come in range of the mothership, and then the mothership basically shoots me in the face. Right, let's see, is that those guys dead? Nope, okay. Come on. Is the big guy dead yet? I think I killed the big guy. Yeah, I killed the big guy. And there's another one down there. Okay. Come on. Out of the way, please. And we took another hit. But this is what you basically have with this game, with Red Tether. It's a very straightforward, rather, I won't say simple roguelike. The concept itself is simple. The actual gameplay is rather complex once you get physics involved. There are some quality of life things I wish they had changed. The resolution not having a standard like resolution of 1360 is a bit annoying because I've like lost the edges of around the screen. The fact that your settings reset once you leave the game is also frustrating. There's just like little quality of life things, not having reverse thrust on your ship. Overall, I would say this is a good little indie title for those of you who want that kind of feeling of like Asteroid, the Pixel game Asteroid. Overall, it's not a bad little title. I do think it could do a bit more polishing though. Maybe having settings that would allow you, because I haven't been able to see them, having settings that would allow you to maybe change the color tone. I know you can do stuff like screen shake and the like, and auto lock you could probably turn on as well. But stuff like maybe change the color palette for those who are colorblind or stuff like that. Overall, a solid title, but I do think it needs a little bit of refinement. But I've been Cornish-Knight, this has been Red Tether, and I'll see you all again next time. Goodbye.